Good morning, good evening, and good night. Guys, welcome to the channel. Welcome to Foghorn 5. And if you're watching this video right now, everybody point and laugh because we're looking at an Airsoft noob right now. All jokes aside, I'm happy to have you here. The community of Airsoft is always welcome to a new member. So come on in, give us some firm hugs and handshakes, and let's talk about choosing the right Airsoft gun. It's time to stop wasting time not knowing exactly what to get, especially in this tricky, confusing Airsoft market with so many options just for one gun that can confuse somebody even more who's getting into the sport. So today I'm basically going to be covering a brief overview of roughly my entire Airsoft collection. At this point, I think I have somewhat like 15 guns. I've been playing Airsoft since I was about like 8 years old, and then I got really into it after the COVID-19 whole ordeal. But I remember even then coming back into Airsoft, it's a confusing and tricky market to know what you're picking. And for somebody like myself who's just such an enthusiast and a collector, I think it's only right for me to showcase and kind of go over and explain the differences between different guns, the reason why I build certain guns a certain way, and inevitably finding the right gun for you. But before we dive right into the video, I just kind of want to tell you the reason why I had this idea. I'm preparing to go to a 3-day MILSIM event in Nevada called Operation Flamingo. And due to preparation for that event, I'm kind of just deciding what gun I want to go with. So right now in the studio, I have like literally all my guns just splayed out everywhere. And it just gave me the idea, wow, I have this huge collection. And it just kind of brought me back to scrolling the category pages on eVike, even looking at certain people's builds on Instagram. So hopefully I could be that person that has that gun that you really want, and we could talk about the nitty gritty and really deep dive why it may be the right option or not. Maybe there's something else that you might come across in this video that you say, hey, maybe that's the better option. So the platforms we're going to be covering are rifles, specifically going into AKs and ARs separately. Then we're going to talk about DMRs, LMGs, SMGs, pistols, and very briefly, snipers and shotguns. Please consider giving the channel a like, comment, and even a subscribe. That would really make my day. We love making content for you guys, and I love to see the reception from all these videos. I respond to almost every comment. If you check the description down below, I do have a link to a Discord. Make sure to join up in the Discord if you have any sort of questions, or if you just want to hang out with us. We play games down there. We talk about cool Airsoft stuff, cool kits, and we also have a marketplace in there too. So if you're looking for a gun or piece of kit and you want to get a really good deal on there, I always recommend Discord Marketplace. All right, guys, enough blabber. Let's get into what you guys came here for. Starting off with rifles, we're going to kick it off with America's tried and true AR platform. This right here is going to be a gun that you are commonly going to see in the Airsoft world. As I showcase each and every one of these platforms, I will show you guys the manual of arms, basically how to operate the gun, and I'm going to be using my most faithful weapon I have to the real counterpart. For you guys who don't know, there's multiple different platforms in Airsoft, kind of meaning what the power source is. We have AEG, which is the most common. That's going to be an electric gun. HPA, which is essentially powered by high pressured air. Gas blowback, which is going to be something like this right here. The gas blowback is what I'm going to use to show you guys the manual of arms because they do operate like real guns. Now back on topic, this is the Mark 18 Block 2 based off of the AR platform. Now for some of you goofy goobers out there, you might assume that AR means assault rifle. AR stands for Armalite rifle because Armalite is the company that invented this gun platform. So functionality for the AR platform, right back here we have a buffer tube with a retractable stock. Most ARs come with one of these nowadays. We have the trigger, you pull that, things die. Up over here we have the charging handle. If we take a look on this side, when you pull the charging handle back, you'll see that the dust cover flips open and reveals the chamber. That right there is the bolt. And lastly, we have our magazine. Stick that right up in there. And now if we were to rack the gun is on empty, so the bolt will hold open. This right here is your bolt release. When you hit that button on the side, bolt gets sent home, right? Lastly, the very most important thing is your safety selector. Every single gun, I don't care if it's a toy, a real one, should have a working safety selector because it is a responsibility to own a replica like this because we are most likely getting it for the reason of us wanting to essentially train. So we should be training with these platforms. So right here, the safety is on the safe position. Down there is going to be semi, 1 shot per round. and right there is full auto. This button right here is the mag release. We hit that, our magazine comes out, and there you go. That's the AR platform. So taking a look at the Mark 18 Block 2, this is the modernized version of the Mark 18. I will go ahead and show you guys what the Mod O looks like. Right here we have the Mark 18 Mod O. Noticeable difference right here, we have this delta ring and this front sight post with this kind of detached handguard style. But taking a look at the Block 2 again, you can see that they switch out the handguard for this more modern one that's sleek, no front sight post anymore. We just have a perfectly free floating barrel in here. These are probably the two most common guns that you'll see in Airsoft. The Mark 18 is the M4's short version. The M4A1 comes with a barrel length of 14.5 inches, where the Mark 18 comes with a barrel length of 10.5. The Mark 18 is also known as the CQB-R, the Close Quarter Combat Receiver. So first things first with the Mark 18, we have to address the length. So this is a phenomenal gun if you know that you're going to be doing any sort of close quarters work. If you're going to be playing mainly at indoor fields, or you just like getting up close and personal with people, this gun is amazing. It is so comfortable in the hands. It's very maneuverable and light. This gun is truly perfect. There's so many ways you could build it out, and no matter what you do with it, I can attest that this gun is truly phenomenal at just what it was built for. Now, speaking on these two specific Mark 18s, this one right here is an HBA, so we have the hose for the airline, and the other one, as I showed before, was a gas blowback. Now, these are two Airsoft platforms that offer a lot of diversity in power output. So you essentially have a lot of choice in how powerful you could make these guns. And for a gun like the Mark 18, in my personal opinion, as somebody who likes to play outdoors a lot and likes fighting with range, I find it almost a necessity to need one of these more powerful systems, or even a very, very upgraded AEG. Unfortunately, the Mark 18 is going to be the kind of gun that if you are playing at big fields, you're going to be dominating at range. You're going to need to put some work into the gun for it to really handle itself at range. The reason I have a suppressor on mine is because sometimes I will run an extended inner barrel. So if you don't know, Airsoft guns have two barrels, an outer barrel, which is the one that you're visibly seeing right now that just replicates a real gun barrel. Then there's an inner barrel. The inner barrel is the actual functional Airsoft barrel for the Airsoft gun system. You have options to actually buy a suppressor and extend your barrel to the full length. This suppressor right here, I'd probably say is roughly 6 to 7 inches. I can nearly double the range I can get out of this gun just by upgrading the inner barrel. So once again, if the Mark 18 is the platform that you have had your eyes on, there are things you could do to make it more viable. That's the Mark 18 in a nutshell. Let's move on to our next AR platform. Right alongside the Mark 18, another gun that everyone and their mom is gonna have is going to be the M4A1. At the time, I had been running the Mark 18 for a very, very long time, and still, I'm kind of getting a little bit of fatigue of just using shorter guns. 14.5 barrel gun. Now this isn't a true M4A1, this is actually just 14 because this gun has a cool little feature that I will show you guys in a second. This is a very, very good middle ground gun. For people that think or say you can't do CQB with an M4A1, you are very, very wrong. If you're playing big maps with a lot of, ground to cover outside, and there are a couple buildings, this is extremely versatile. You still are short enough to just dominate in those buildings if you really need to, but you also have that little extra length of being able to reach some further targets. Now, in the world of Airsoft, whether you think so or not, your barrel length actually does make a very big difference, especially for me who plays outdoor, like I said all the time. With a gun like this, I can get a pretty medium amount of precision. Like those upgrades that I said before, you could get a suppressor, put a longer barrel there, and bam, you essentially almost made your M4 a little sniper. I personally like to run an ACOG or a optic with a little bit more zoom for an M4 build, but I also have these top irons up here that I can quickly switch to if I'm getting up close, and my laser for nighttime shooting. I mainly use HPA. I don't use a lot of AEGs, so I wanted to make a very versatile AEG. So something out there for you guys to think about is you actually can get barrel extensions. I could unscrew this off, You can see my inner barrel sticks out just a little bit, but if I were to get the properly sized barrel for this gun, I could unscrew that, put my flash hider back right there, and now I essentially cut my gun down and I have a Mark 18. Maybe buy a Mark 18 and then just get an extended barrel. Why not? Because there you go. Now I have two guns in one. Now for all my fellas out there who says size does matter, I introduce to you the M16A2. So here we go. We are now entering full-sized AR-15 platform the way God intended it. If you like everything about the AR platform but how short and limited your range is, this is the answer. Coming in with a whopping 20-inch long barrel, this gun right here shits the pants of all the people who like to camp across the map. I went to Mark 18, I went to M4A1, and now I'm here in M16 territory. And boys, I gotta say, we're cooking. This gun is so effective. It's like, it blows my mind. Running this gun fully upgraded with a very nice internal barrel is just such a dream. All the type of shots that you just imagine and wish that you could hit when you're playing outdoors, you can hit with this gun. This thing is essentially a DMR in rifle form, and man, is it just so good. And just like I said before with the M4, if you don't think that you could CQB with this gun, I want you to go ahead and talk to a couple Fallujah Marines. Now, I would not say that the M16 is your rifle to be bringing into your indoor facility. If you're going to be attending some sort of MILSIM event or just playing outdoors, this is really the rifle to have. And like I said, everyone and their mom has a Mark 18. Just leave it up to them to clear the building and you stay behind with this thing. Even then, you can be very aggressive and just rush buildings. Yes, you might need a little bit more room to just back up, but also that might be a very good training tool because it is a good idea to stay away from walls, especially if you're a new player. That's the M16, and this is going to be the last of the AR rifles. Now we're going to be doing a little crossover into DMR territory. So this right here is my baby. This is my tried and true Mark 12 Mod O, another gun that I just truly love. This is actually something that I almost always bring to the field with me. It's always so nice to just kind of have a gun that you could be a little bit more chill with. You don't have to be so aggressive with it. And when you have a DMR tuned in like this with a very nice barrel, and I have a HBA system in here, this thing is just a beast. So we are once again in 20-inch long barrel territory, so just like our M16. But the one thing that a DMR has that an M16 does not is a scope. Even with the M16, I find myself doing a little bit of a spray, you know, when I see a target. But when you transition to having a rifle with a scope, it is a whole different ball game. You can just really dial it in and be so precise because you could just sit there in one place, lay down with your bipod out, and just watch where that BB is going to fly exactly. And a lot of times using this gun, it only takes me 1 to 2 shots to make sure my target is down. Transitioning over now to a gas DMR, this is a NSW RECCE rifle, definitely a little bit shorter. This just has a suppressor, so it probably looks a little bit longer than it actually is. The Mark 12 Motto has that cylindrical style handguard, more of a old school style, where this is a bit more of a modern rifle with a fully Picatinny railed out handguard, a lot smaller of a scope, and we also have a aim point right up here just for quick shooting access. This right here is what I like to call a bit more of a active overwatch rifle, where the Mark 12 is more of a stationary overwatch, just the way I have mine built out. Now, sniping and overwatch are two very different things. When you're doing overwatch, you're watching over your buddies and you're more or less moving with them. So you need a gun that's a lot more active, such as this, because this allows me to let my team go up front, go do the dirty work, and I'll just watch lanes and make sure nobody sneaks up behind them. But when they call me and I need to run up and get up in the buildings with them, I have my aim point right up here to do just as much damage as the rest of them. It's just a different kind of discipline, and if this is a play style that you're kind of more gravitating towards, it allows you that comfort of a follow-up shot in case you miss, but it also really trains you on the medium on how to snipe, where to put yourself. Maybe this might be your first step into getting a bolt action and really getting into sniping. But for the people who are a little bit more interested in the other side of the world, we have the AK platform, the Kalashnikov. Now this is probably unlike any AK you've seen, but this, I assure you, is an AK. It is just very modernized. This is a Daytona gun. So this is a very special hybrid of gun that mixes HBA with gas blowback. Very expensive, very finicky. I would not recommend a Daytona for anyone getting into airsoft, but an AK I would very much recommend. So let's go ahead and check out the manual of arms here. Find the sweet spot, and you can see that we do more of a twisty motion. That's called the rock and lock. And then down here, we have our mag release. Hit it with our thumb. Right over here where my finger is resting, we have the safety selector. If we shove this bitch all the way down, we're going in semi. If we put it halfway, we're in full auto. And if we go all the way back up to the top, we're at safe. Right up here is our charging handle. If we need to charge a round into the gun, we will pull that back, drop it just like that. Depending on which AK you have, right here is a button to fold up the stock if you needed to do that. So right here, we're looking at an AK-105. So this gun almost identically mirrors the Mark 18 in the AK world. The AK-74 is the most common AK now, and the AK-105 is the shortened version of the 74. Shorter gun designed for a little bit more of a CQB environment, but the barrel does come right at the end of that suppressor right there. Now, when it comes to an AK, usually the people who are going to be more interested in them are going to be those people who are doing Russian kits, running with the Rust 4 Milsim groups. You need an AK if you're going to be running Russian slop. I've only used full length AKs a couple times, that being a AKM in 74. The AK-105 I can attest to being a very comfortable gun, especially maneuvering around those close quarter environments. The weight distribution on an AK is very different. They're a lot more center to front heavy depending on how you have them built. I do find using blowback AKs a lot more fun than just using ARs because how interactive they are. Bolt has a long way to travel. You could see the bolt traveling back and forth when you're shooting, and it's just a really fun gun to shoot. As much as I love a blowback AR, there's something about shooting a gas blowback AK that just unlocks a raw monkey part of my frontal lobe. So all in all, AKs are great. As you can see, it's extremely customizable. Don't let people get you down thinking, oh, you can't get all this for an AK. And for a lot of the AK replicas on the airsoft market, they do offer a lot of compatibility with real steel parts. You could really deck an AK out to be a badass gun. So if you thought the AK-105 was short, let me introduce you to the AK-74U. This is a tiny, tiny little AK. This right here is probably gonna be one of the more common small AKs you're gonna see. This gun right up next to the Vityaz, which is essentially a 9mm AK. This is a full rifle cartridge sized AK. If I take this mag from before, I could put it still right there in the gun. Talk about maneuverability, talk about a light gun. Center of balance on an AK is a lot different than a AR, and this is one of those guns where it truly shines in a positive way. This gun is just so much fun. Moving through rooms, dominating. I push real hard when I play with this gun. When I just see this gun in my hands, my brain just goes like freedom fighter mode, and it's just such a fun experience. One thing now that we're kind of looking more at a traditional AK that's not so modernized, the profile of an AK when you're sighting down it is just so nice. It's so sleek, and I feel like if your goal is to kind of be like a big collector, you just have to have an AK. This gun right here is HBA. Like I said, I love HBA, but I don't really find myself having a lot of issues when it comes to dealing with range. There's something about specifically this company, LCT, hands down, probably the best AK company out there. They make great externals. These guns are built like tanks. The way that they just handle, even once I've HPA'd this thing, it's just a demon. I don't even have a extended barrel. My inner barrel goes straight out to the muzzle device. One thing I will say about the 74U though, probably my least favorite iron sights of any gun I own. So most times I use this fancy little rail that almost all AKs have, where I could just slide on a curved rail that allows me to mount an optic up top. There's a lot of options out there for the AK platform. Thinking maybe it's not as versatile as an AR. Trust me, they are. You could build AKs till your heart's content, and they are just fun guns. So for my last AK platform is actually my first rifle that I bought getting back into airsoft. And this right here is the AS-VAL. This is a freaking awesome gun. Now, if anyone doesn't know what the AS-VAL is, I'm sure you are blown away by the sight of this gun, just like I was the very first time I saw one. But this right here is kind of a video game classic. Almost every game loves to throw in an AS-VAL just because of what a cool and wacky gun this is. You're probably questioning, why the hell is this barrel so goddamn chunky? And it's because the AS-VAL is internally suppressed. So this barrel in reality is a full suppressor, and they claim these guns are deadly silent, which I don't doubt. I've seen a couple videos of them shoot. The slim profile of an AK, this gun almost takes it to a new level because the AS-VAL is just the sleekest profile with the slimmest stock I could imagine. Getting back into the discussion of AK weight distribution, this is a funky gun. As you could probably tell, all the weight is up here in this barrel. This is another LCT made replica, and they did a fantastic job putting the materials where they're supposed to be. You could beat your redheaded stepchild to death with this barrel if you just took this thing off. One thing I'd like to mention about all AKs, just because it was such a plus as one of my first guns, is the fact that they don't have anything really functional going on their stocks makes it so they could all pretty much fold, and that makes it so nice, especially for somebody who was kind of just getting back into airsoft, didn't have like really proper gun bags, just kind of had a backpack. So an AK is very nice just because it's concealability, the way you could just break it down like that so easy. The stocks are very nice. This one is extremely rigid, and kind of adjacent to this gun and the AR DMRs that I was showing you. This gun has a DMR version. It's called the VSS Ventores with a very specialized stock. If you get yourself one of those Russian PSO scopes and slap it on that, or even this gun, fares as a very nice DMR. Now this gun is 100% stock. I have not put any upgrades into this gun, but every time I picked it up and used it, it is a very nice gun. This is a great out of the box gun. No issues with playing outdoor. I was able to get long shots with this thing with a bit of luck on my side. You can do a lot to these guns as well as far as decking them out. You could see right here we have that side rail, and also I bought a couple of these Picatinny clamps that go around the suppressor. When I first bought it, I decked it out, and as I kept playing with it, I took more and more stuff off because it's just one of those guns that I think it doesn't need anything. It's such a perfect rifle. Iron sights are very nice picture. Would definitely recommend for somebody who wants something a little more obscure than just an AK. Before we fully leave the AK train, I have a very special gun that I want to throw in the mix, and this is the SIG 552. So now getting into a little bit of European slop, we have what's known as the Swiss AK. So this SIG platform is actually kind of a platform on its own because there's guns like the SIG 559, I think, and a couple other variants. It's kind of a cool intermix of the controls from the AR and the AK. So right here we have our safety that operates like AR safety. The magazine, it is the same AK rock and lock style. We have our charging handle on the side. The SIG 552 traditionally is supposed to have a folding stock. These older replicas have probably one of the worst stock designs that I've ever seen in my life. Everything hinges off of just like one piece of metal that's super flimsy, so they all inevitably break. Put a little bracket right here and tape the crap out of it so it stayed in place. So this gun, funny enough, for my Far Cry fans out there, I just fell in love with when I played Far Cry 3 way back in the day. I know the SIG 552 in Far Cry 3 is not the best gun, but I was using it the entire game because it's just so cool. Once I got into airsoft, it was a gun 100% that was going in my collection. I kept it pretty much stock. All I did was just throw on a bunch of attachments. This is a Swiss police clone, but I kind of want to throw it in there for you guys who are maybe looking at something like an AK but want a little bit more ergonomic controls, or just in general, if you're looking at a European gun, this is a gun I really want to bring to a Milsim event, and also a gun that does fare very well in a close quarter environment. You could leave this thing short, very ergonomic for close quarters environments. Just a little honorable mention because this is just such a cool gun. I love it. It's so much fun. For all you guys who played a little bit too much as the heavy on Team Fortress 2, or maybe main support classes in Battlefield, we have LMGs. Oh yeah. Can't go wrong with an LMG in Airsoft, except you can. If you don't have the strength, they will put you down. This right here is an M60V, the original M60, but I did go ahead and modify this thing and shorten the barrel because I just had this gun sitting around forever and I decided to HBA it and modify it a bit, kind of modernize it a little bit just because I thought it would be a fun gun to run that way. So when it comes to LMGs and Airsoft, they have two different versions for a lot of guns. They have what's called a featherweight and a full weight. A full weight is going to closely replicate the weight of a real LMG, where a featherweight is going to be completely made of plastic. I'm going to go ahead and give you an unbiased opinion right now. Featherweights are completely gay and not in the good way. Featherweights, if you run one, sorry, you're a pussy. If you're gonna get an LMG, get a goddamn LMG and man up. I'm probably not even the bulkiest motherfucker watching this video right now and I'm still carrying this thing, so man up. And if you can't muster the strength to pick it up the whole time, do what it's intended to do. Put that bipod down, lay it down on the floor, and absolutely rip rounds down range. So if you don't know, at a lot of Airsoft fields, LMGs are the one gun that is usually allowed for full auto. But when people are running those featherweight guns, they kind of take away the fun and they're just using them as a rifle again. And I just don't see the appeal. If you're using an LMG, you should be going out there as a team player. If you're looking into an LMG, I'm trying to give you guys the best experience with one, because if you are an LMG player, you're either one of two things on the field. People either hate you or they love you. If you're just running around and kind of abusing it, it's not really fun even for the people on your team. But if you're that team player that, you know, follows some guys around, gets that gun down, actually puts down some suppressive fire so people can push up, that is just such a cool experience. This is an A&K M60. This is a very, very well-made gun. I would definitely say an optic with a little bit of variable. I like to usually run like ACOGs or LCANs on here. The fact that this is shorter allows me to pick it up and kind of move in rooms more, so I find use out of that. Bipod, always need one, 100%. One thing when it comes to the Airsoft counterpart that can be a little annoying or finicky is Airsoft box mags. So box mags require their own batteries and they essentially just constantly wind the BBs into the gun. You have a bunch of BBs in this plastic box, so you're just like rattling around, so you're not very stealthy with an LMG, but that should kind of be the point. You should be loud with this thing. You should be invoking a bit of fear. That's why if you notice, I have a amplifier as my muzzle device right here. You want to keep people's heads down. You want to let them know that they are getting shot at. So an amplifier, I think, is a great option for an LMG. There are a lot of options for Airsoft LMGs. If I were to pick out a couple LMGs, the M60 would probably still end up in that list because it's just a American classic and it's such a cool gun. They're heavy, they shoot a lot of BBs. I mean, what else more do you need? It's an LMG, you know what it's about. Moving into very high speed, cool guy territory, we are stepping into SMGs. So this right here is the MP7, another very popular gun for a very good reason. The MP7 is such a cool gun, and for an SMG, it really fits a niche that not a lot of them do. It kind of borders on the line of what I like to consider a PDW, a personal defense weapon, which is an SMG that I think is a little bit more stowable. Where an SMG I kind of consider to be a gun that you fully mainly run around, such as like an MP5 or a UMP that are kind of like full stock sized weapons. But the MP7 is great because it is both those guns all in one. So we have a grip that we could just fold in and out just like that, alongside the stock, which we hit this button right here and pull our stock out. This stock has multiple points of adjustment. I think it has 3. Right here we have our mag release. It's ambidextrous, so we have it on this side and this side. I tend to hit it with my first finger because it's easier. We stick the mag right there and it goes right in. Up here we have our charging handle. Just like the AR, if we pull this back, we will see our bolt pull back and then we slam it forward and there we go, gun is charged. We also have ambidextrous safety controls, so if we see up here we have safe, semi, and full auto. If our gun is on empty, you could see just like the AR, it will do bolt hold open, another ambidextrous control. Right here is the bolt drop, so if we push that down, now the gun is ready to fire. A gun like this is going to be insanely good in a close quarters scenario, and especially in the case of the MP7, the center of balance is so very nice. It's such a comfortable gun running with this thing, you know, clearing corners, clearing rooms. It's so nice to handle. This particular gun is a GBB. This is a VFC made replica. This, in my opinion, is the best one on the market. So it's a very solid, good feeling gun in your hand. Even when you condense it down to that like PDW size, this is still a very great gun. Very customizable. As you can see, you could put a lot of stuff on here. You have a lot of pick space, even 2 pick rails on the side. And I think they have a couple options for alternative stocks, such as putting a buffer tube on them. But this gun, even though it's kind of built and shines in that CQB environment, does not mean that it doesn't hold itself well in more open environments. I still bring this gun out playing outdoors, and it does a very good job. You're gonna have to adapt your play style to be a little bit more aggressive with something like this, because you're not gonna be able to just sit back in the map and kill people with it. If you want to bump these things up to have a bit more range, that same upgrade that I talked about before, where you just bring the barrel out inside of a suppressor, applies to all those guns. Getting into an SMG that showcases that PDW kind of class that I was talking about is the MAC-10. So the MAC-10 is a tiny SMG. This thing is so cool. This is a very basic and simple survival-esque kind of gun. Very, very simple to operate. You just have your charging handle right there. It fires on an open bolt. So when you pull the trigger, it fires. You have a mag release back here. You just pull that with your thumb. And then your fire controls, you have safe right there on that lever, fire right there on that lever. And on this side, you could flip it to semi-auto or full auto. Say for example, if you are mainly running a bolt action sniper, maybe even an LMG, if you need something that you can carry on you very effortlessly, maybe you just get in a hairy situation, you know, pop the stock out, and you now have a little micro comfortable gun that you could run. This gun is super cool just for that scenario where maybe I need a bit more of a comfortable backup than just a pistol, something I could get both my hands on, and even have a little shoulder weld. As you can see, I have a couple little Picatinny rail slots. You can mount flashlights, grips. I even put an optic up here once and it worked just fine. The MAC-10 in particular is not very customizable. There are other systems out there. You could look at a Scorpion, a Tech 9. You could even kind of SMG out AAP, but a MAC-10 in my mind is kind of the go-to for that scenario. If you're playing somewhere that's a little bit more lenient about full auto guns, this right here can function as your very own fully automatic pistol if you really wanted to. And right here I have a perfectly functioning fully automatic pistol. This thing just dumps rounds. You pull this thing out, you just blick them down, you got your ops, they are slimed out now, and this is the perfect gun to do it. So if everything you've been seeing from this point on is too modern, too much of a gimmick for you, I have here to represent my World War II reenactors, a World War II Thompson, and I also have over here a grease gun. In all honesty, this is a very important community in the airsoft world. If you are one of these impressionists that are all about history, especially World War II history, and you're doing us all a service by running these archaic, janky ass guns, but man oh man are they so cool. Right here is our magazine release, this giant C-shaped lever. If we push this thing up like that, our magazine will slide out. You can see that the Thompson's magazine is on a rail. It's a T-shaped rail, male on the mag and female on the gun. This is a very peculiar gun to reload. Reloading, it's kind of hard, I know. It's definitely a gun that takes some practice. Look, on the side we have our fire controls. Right here on the back side, this lever is our safety, so our gun is on safe. Now it is on fire. And then over here on this side we have semi-automatic, and we flip it over here, and now we are on full auto. We have the charging handle with our bolt. So if we pull this thing back, we will see that the bolt goes back. This gun fires on an open bolt, and we go ahead and just pull the trigger. It sends the bolt forward. I do really love the Thompson. The Thompson is such a cool gun. It is actually really fun to use. One thing you definitely can't go wrong with World War II guns is their wood furniture. They just look so freaking pretty. They're such nice guns. The Thompson in particular is a very weird gun when it comes to ADSing. Just the shape of the stock and the way that it kind of brings the gun so high up in your field of view. I mean, once you get used to it, I do think it's a very comfy gun. If you've never really held one before, you're really gonna think it's odd. The iron sights are very cool, very archaic. This is literally just a bent piece of metal that just flips up. And then the front sight is just kind of pinned through on the barrel over here. With all that out of the way, let's honor my last World War II gun, which is the grease gun. If you thought the Thompson was caveman technology, then this thing is on another level. Both these guns are so freaking cool. It is a completely different experience, nothing like shooting a modern gun. Both these guns are just very kind of intuitive, where I feel like some of the modern guns just take a lot more practice. These things, you just pick them up and you almost instinctively know what to do. With the grease gun, you have a stock right here that you could just pull out like that. When you hit this button right here, you could push it right back in. There is no button that holds the stock in place when it's collapsed. So it's always ready to be pulled, which is pretty cool. It's just like always on the go whenever you need it. The magazine release is right here. Down here, we have the safety. You push that, you're not shooting. You pull that, now you're shooting. Open that, pull this. Another gun that fires on open bolt. So this gun will just sit here like this until you're ready to pull that trigger. And there you go, shot. And just so you know, the dust cover will not close fully when the gun is ready to fire, which is an indicator to let you know the gun is ready to fire. This is a fully automatic gun. There is no semi. When you're shooting a grease gun, you're letting it rip. I would almost say that it's like a big version of the MAC-10, which is the way that it's just so simply designed and so user intuitive. It's a short gun, it's an SMG. Probably handle itself really well in CQB environments. There are not many, if at all, options for upgrading this thing as far as like attachments. If you're looking at this video from an impressionist standpoint and that is what your specialty is, why you want to get into airsoft, there are a lot of great options out there for World War II guns. German, American, British, Japanese, Russian, they kind of have like the main things that you need. Even diving into World War I, there are options out there. You could definitely do it. Getting into sidearm or secondary guns, we have pistols, and I come to you with 3 different sizes with this HK45, the CZP09, and the HK Mark 23. So let's go ahead and start off with the smallest pistol. This right here is what's called a compact pistol. Anything that's roughly a smaller size pistol is going to be considered compact. Pistol, manual of arms real quick. Most pistols either have a button or a little push down like the HK does for the mag release. You essentially push this down, your mag comes out, you put it back in, your mag goes in. A lot of pistols will have lever or button safeties. This is the fire position, that is safe. This right here is your hammer. You can manually pull that back. And lastly, we have the trigger. If you pull the trigger, obviously hammer goes forward. And this is a double action gun, so I don't even need to manually pull back, it will do it itself. Obviously we could rack the slide, that's how we would put a round in the gun. If we put the magazine in, rack it, that mag is empty, so this is essentially bolt hold open. We have this lever right here. Once again, another ambidextrous feature on this gun, but it is also right here. What you do is you hit it with your thumb, and now it just automatically loaded your round in there without having to cock the gun fully. So looking at compact pistols in a whole, this is a category of pistol that I usually don't lean too much into just because I tend to have longer hands. And one thing that a lot of compact pistols have is a shorter grip. My pinky kind of hangs off the gun now that that magazine is out of there. When you're reloading it and then when you're wearing gloves, anytime that I've ran a compact pistol, my glove catches when I'm reloading and then it just, you know, it kind of causes disaster at that point. Compact pistols are extremely nice to maneuver. When you are drawing it and bringing it out in a close quarter scenario, man, it is so maneuverable. It is so nice to move. But with that, since it's shorter, the recoil hits a bit harder. It's a little bit harder to manage. There are many compact pistols out there with customizable options, such as rails right here. This one does not have any option to mount a optic or RMR plate, but a lot of pistols do have that option. Now right here is one of my personal favorites as far as comfortability, the CZP09. this is what we call just a full-size pistol or standard size pistol. This is adjacent to your Glock 17 1911. This gun, something about the ergonomics, fits my hands perfectly. One thing that's very nice about the CZ line of pistols is they all go for a slimmer slide profile. What that offers you is a closer sight picture to your barrel, allows for a very sleek pistol. They're not very tall, so very easy to holster, not a cumbersome gun. Once again, we have pick slots down here. This slide does not come with an RMR plate, but I actually do have a plate that I could switch out with the rear iron. When it comes to running a pistol as a main, a lot of people do that in Airsoft and they deck them out all crazy. They do the high kappa builds. That's a very popular option, and I've seen people use them almost everywhere that I've gone. There's ways that people are doing it very effectively at all ranges of fields. So if that's something that you're looking into, I'm not going to be the best source on that. I have only ever really ran them as sidearms and kind of just pulled them out when I'm in buildings. But if I were to do that, I would be looking at a pistol that's the next size up from this, which is the Mark 23 SOCOM. This is what we call an offensive sized pistol. Now this pistol is pretty gargantuan. Just for comparison, I'll put up the compact right next to it, and you could really see how big that thing is. Man, this is a really cool, comfortable pistol. This was a Special Forces favorite for many years in the 90s and early 2000s. It has this really cool high sight picture that's specifically designed for using suppressors, so you don't need to swap out to suppressor high sights. Once again, if it were me running a pistol as a main, I would choose this. Not only do you get the advantage of just being a more sturdy gun that you could manage recoil with, it is a longer barrel and you're going to get a tad bit more range out of it. Anything outdoors, you're definitely going to have to, you know, put some work into it and look into one of those like high kappa builds and see what they're doing to really get some range out of those pistols. All right guys, now coming to the very last two categories of the video, we are going to get into snipers, and I'm also going to clump shotguns in here. I'm doing that basically because I do not have that much experience with both those platforms. Partly why I'm putting them into the same category is they are very functionally the same. For the most part, they are both single action guns. They require a manual cocking each time that you fire them, and they're both primarily either a spring system or a gas system. This right here is a spring sniper that's had a problem forever, and I haven't used it in forever. It does this thing called slam firing, which is an issue with a lot of spring guns over time. Pull this bolt back, it's back, right? So now what you'd normally do is pull it forward. It just slammed, right? So, but if we go ahead and take a look at the manual of arms of this, obviously a sniper, you would pull the bolt back, load your round, and essentially from there you'd be ready to fire. This is your safety, safety on, safety off. Right here is your mag release. You would hit that, your magazine would come out. With spring snipers, the magazine doesn't go where it's actually supposed to go. It goes in a different location. I don't know the reason why, but we also do own a couple gas snipers, which those things function very nice. With a spring gun, it's literally spring tension, so you are pulling that tension back. With a gas gun, it's like a real sniper where the bolt is just fully free and easy to maneuver. Sniping is a skill, it is a feeling. It's something that I kind of advocate against for a lot of newbie players, because I've met a lot of people that have wanted to get into Airsoft and they go ahead and buy a sniper thinking that they're going to be Chris Kyle, and they are not. And they do horribly bad, especially because you're limited to one shot at a time. If you have the patience and you really want to learn that craft, there are people out there that go ahead and buy it as their first one and stick through it the whole way. Once again, it mimics real life. A sniper is only effective if they are very well concealed, if they know enemy patterns, if they understand the map, where cover is, how to properly place yourself. And if you're doing any of these things wrong, you stick out like a sore thumb and you're more of a target on the field than anyone else is, just because you're easy pickings. Sniping on a positive note. There's no experience in Airsoft like sniping, like what sniping offers. Shooting long range is really fun and really satisfying. There's a reason why all the top Airsoft YouTubers and YouTube videos are about sniping. It's because that shit is cool. Now, I've only brought a sniper out to a field probably about once in my life. I did just sit on the outskirt of the map as far as I could and was just nailing people. And each time you get a kill in sniping, it's like your own little Moby Dick. You spent all this time, and it's so much effort and so much waiting and so much setup for you to finally get that one kill, and it's so rewarding. I 100% see why people want to do it so bad. And now lastly, the gun type that I don't own any of is a shotgun. One of my buddies had a very nice gas shotgun that I brought to an indoor place one time, and it was a blast. Playing with that shotgun in that indoor field kind of turned me on to wanting to go to indoor fields a little bit more. Once again, kind of that natural caveman monkey, brain thing, that pumping the shotgun and getting kills, it was so much fun. That shotgun specifically was a tri-shot, so it shoots 3 rounds at a time. You have single shots, try, I think there's 6 shots, and then there's even some of the cooler like gas shotguns where you actually like load a shell up with a bunch of BBs and then put a wad in there and then blast them all out. Everyone that I do know who's had one has gotten rid of it at some point. That friend actually just sold the shotgun I was talking about. But maybe some of you guys out there might just find a totally different experience with a shotgun that I'm just unaware of. And I hope you do. So with all that being said, I've been standing around in one place holding heavy shit for way too long now, and my back is killing me. So I'm ready to kill this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. And I hope you guys are feeling more confident about the gun that you were hoping to get your hands on, because it's not also black and white in the airsoft world. There's a lot of customization, a lot of things you could do. Even if it's a short gun and you want to fight in long range, you could do something with it. If you want to learn more about these guns, I couldn't put every single one up on screen, so I'm going to link the related guns to the description down below. But if this video helped you make a decision, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment down below, tell me what gun it is that you're looking into, and if also you're somebody who has already been playing airsoft and you have some sort of critique on everything that I've talked about, share it in the comments. This video is aimed for the newer crowd coming into the airsoft world, so we need to welcome them with open arms. And with all that being said, I hope you guys have a great day. Catch you in the next one.